Imagine that a customer enters an electronics store in London and goes to the section with laptops. He looks at a few laptops and asks the seller a few questions. He's not satisfied with the seller's answers and angrily picks up one of the laptops and throws it on the ground. Yes, let's imagine that he breaks one of the laptops. Now, in this situation, do you think the customer is right? Is it true to say the classic saying, "The customer is always right"? Probably after this scenario, 99% of people will say that the customer is not always right. In another example, a customer buys a sofa from a furniture store and returns to the store 3 months later and says, "This sofa is not as comfortable as I'd like it to be. I want a refund for what I paid for this sofa." In this case, the customer is not right, because if that furniture store takes back this sofa and pays the customer 100% back, then that store will suffer a loss. Yes, indeed, the customer is always right approach is not always valid. The examples given thus far are clear examples of this. Perhaps we can accept this statement by making the following correction. The customer is always right within certain norms and rules. If we look at the history of this expression in general, it dates back to the 1900s and was first proposed by a businessman named Harry Gordon. The purpose of this sentence was to resolve customer complaints, to make the customer feel important, and to get the company's employees to pay attention to customers. The phrase, "the customer is always right," which was formed in the past, may be replaced today by, "the customer is sometimes wrong." Let's take a closer look at why the customer is not always right. For one, sometimes the customer is not really right. For example, if the company's employees do their best to satisfy the customer can still be very rude to employees. In this case, when the company's manager says that the customer is always right, the employee may be demotivated, which can lead to a decrease in productivity. Secondly, as we know, the resources for companies are limited. For example, in the example of the sofa we mentioned at the beginning, when a company takes back the sofa and returns the customer's payment, it's a loss of the company's material resources. Imagine that there are several such customers every month, and the company returns their payments in order to satisfy those dissatisfied customers. Of course, the store or company will soon go bankrupt. As another reason why a customer is not always right, it's neither efficient nor possible to satisfy all customers, because it's difficult to satisfy all customers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every customer has a different taste and desires. Trying to please all of them will soon lead to the failure of the company. The nuances we've listed allow us to say that the customer is not always right. However, every company must know in advance when its customers are right and train the company's staff. In this case, the company's employees will have fully mastered how to treat customers, and customer satisfaction will be much higher.